Hi guys and gals, Froggy here. What I'm going to show you today is how I do front brakes. This is rotors and pads. I've got some Hawk HP Plus, which I like for autocross and street use. They're not quite up to a track day, but I change the pads out if I go out on a track day. And got a couple of rotors that I've had turned and they're still within spec, and I'm going to put them on. Got the car's already up. I jacked up the front end on both sides so I can work both front wheel areas at the same time. Okay, we've got wheel off, and we're going to take the caliper off, and then we're going to take the caliper bracket off. You have to take the caliper bracket off to get the rotor off. The rotor's captured by the caliper bracket. The caliper's held on with two 15mm bolts, but you need an 18mm to hold the other part that the pin slides in and out of. So you need an 18 open and a 15 socket. Take a bungee cord and tie the caliper up out of the way so it won't fall down on you, or it won't fall down on the hose. The hose, you should never let a caliper dangle from the hose. The hose can be damaged. For the bracket, you need a 21mm socket, and you're going to need a breaker bar because it goes to 125 foot-pounds. And what I like to do is I'll cut the steering so that I have access to these. I'll show you. There, you see what I mean? You just put the key in the ignition. You don't have to start the car. Crank the wheel all the way over to the right for your driver's side, and then you can get your breaker bar right in there. Otherwise, you have to jack the car way up high, or I don't know how else you'd do it, but I use this trick. It makes it very easy. Okay, that was pretty easy. Caliper bracket is off. So now the rotor can come off, obviously. And we're ready to stick a new rotor on. Put the pads back on. Let me show you a couple of things here while we got it apart. You always want to examine the area. They call it the 4-foot rule. Whenever you're working on one part of the car, everything within 4 feet you want to take a look at. Upper control arm looks good, tight. The shock looks good, it's not leaking. Sway bar, it's nice. Your wheel speed sensor connection over here, make sure it hasn't gotten damaged, or crooked, or frayed, or anything like that. You would be getting a code if you did have a problem with that. Look at your brake hose line, the hard line, the soft line. And this is more of the wheel speed sensor. It's going back up to its cable bundle. Spring there, lower control arm. All looks good. Wheel bearings. I've probably got some wheel bearings coming up pretty soon. They've got about 55,000 miles on them, but they're okay now. They're no noise. They're not loose. The way to check for looseness, though, is with the wheel on, not like this. But I'll do another video for you guys on that. Let's look at the pads. These pads are very thin. That one on the right is the inside pad, the one on the left is the outside. The one on the left is close to done. The one on the inside is really done. And I've been getting a little squeaky noise, almost like a metal to metal noise. That was the reason I went ahead and did this. But you need a certain amount of pad thickness to take the heat from, you know, it's the way your brakes work is there's energy created when you press the pads against the rotor, and that energy gets transformed into heat, and the heat has to soak off. And if you don't have a thick enough pad, the heat has nowhere to go. So that's why you replace them before they get down to metal to metal. Also, metal to metal is going to damage the rotor, and the rotor might be able to be used again. I'm going to measure this one that I'm taking off and see if I can use it again. What else? You want to check these little rubber sleeves. This one I can see it's got some wear on it. Now these are floating calipers, so this allows the caliper to move on the pin. You always want to take this apart like that and lubricate it. I know some guys who don't bother doing that, but I do it every time, and I've never had a stuck pin. The other thing is there's some boots on the pistons. You see the boots right there? Now, if you track the car a lot, the boots are just going to burn up. So most guys who track the car a lot don't even bother replacing the boots. But if you're street driving the car, I would recommend that you keep those boots in good condition. If they're melted or torn, you have to put new boots on, which means taking those pistons out. And you might as well put a new seal in there when you take the piston out. But that's a whole nother job. These boots are good. I'm not going to do anything with them. And next thing will be just to clean up some of these parts. And I've got to press the pistons back in because the thicker pad is going to need more room. So this piston's got to get pushed in. I'll show you how to do that. It's pretty easy. And it's going along pretty good. Froggy's starting to get pretty fast at these jobs. Okay, Froggy's going to show you something here. When you're using rotors, reusing them, and when you're changing the pad material, you need to clean the old material off the rotor. If it's been turned on a brake lathe, then it's already done for you. But if it hasn't been turned recently, you need to clean it off. Now, what I like to use is a little hand sander, and you want to use garnet paper, not emery cloth or any kind of sanding cloth that's made out of metal, because you want this metal on the rotor prepared to accept the new pad material. You don't want to mix pad material. If you're going from one hawk pad to another hawk pad, or one Carbotech to another Carbotech, then it doesn't really matter. They'll be compatible. But this was used with EBC blue rotors, and now I'm putting hawk rotors on there, so that's two different manufacturers, and the pad material is different from pad to pad from different manufacturers. So I'm going to do this for about maybe 5 minutes on each side. I can see the little swirls, so I'm getting some sanding action on there. And then this rotor will be ready to accept the new material when I bed in the pads. Once you're done sanding and preparing the surface, shoot some brake cleaner on there and use a paper towel or a rag and clean the dust and everything else. Get them nice and clean. Okay, you want to pop out these slide pins. The little rubber cover just snaps into a groove there. You want to lubricate that. This is good to 550 degrees F. This is good to 2,800 degrees F. So it says 2,800. So anyway, I guess I'll use this, and Like I said, make sure the rubber's good on both of them and lube them up every time you take the caliper. Well, not even when you take the caliper bracket off. Every time you take the caliper itself off, lube these up. This lube is purple, just like the the label that comes on. Cool. Put your new rotor on first, and then put your bracket on. Remember, this goes to 125 foot-pounds of torque. Put some sealer, like Loctite, on here. I'm not going to use red. I'm going to use blue, high temp Loctite. Now I know some guy's going to post a comment and he'll be correct, and he's going to say at racing temperatures these rotors and the pads can get up over 1,000 degrees F. So that purple lube will be okay, but the Loctite probably doesn't go over 1,000 degrees F. But I'm going to put it on there anyway. I've never had a problem with this bracket ever coming loose. Okay, I got a torque wrench out, set to 125. I've got blue Loctite on there. I read the label. It doesn't really say what temperature the blue Loctite is good to. I'm sure this on a racetrack, this rotor and caliper and bracket and everything is probably going to get hotter than 400, 500, 600, 700. But anyway, I'm using the blue Loctite. You can go online to their website and find out what temperature it's good to. But like I said, I've never had a problem with these coming apart if they're torqued properly and you put some blue Loctite on there. So let's talk about. Now, before you push your pistons back, here I'm getting ready to do that. Pop your hood, and you might need to take some brake fluid out of your brake master cylinder if you've been topping it off. If you haven't been topping it off, then it's down pretty low, because when you push the pistons back, the level is going to go up, and you don't want to overflow this and make a big mess. It's very corrosive to paint. So I'm going to take some out and just use a suction like this and put it in a container where you can dispose of it properly. Now, to push these pistons back, I just take an old brake pad, backing plate, and a C-clamp, and that way you can push them both back at the same time. It's not really dead center, but it's close enough so that you can push both pistons at the same time. Now you can see we've got the pistons pushed back. I'm pretty sure that's far enough to get the new thicker pads in. Now, these are guides. Look like they're stainless steel guides, so that the ears on the backing plate of the pad can slide a little easier. You want to lube these up good where the ears will rub. The ears I'm talking about are those little, this on the end. It actually it slides there. There, it slides like that as the pad moves. Okay, we've got our little slider thing in there. We've got it lubed, and I lubed the ears on the new pad too. I'm going to put it's got a little squealer so that when the pad material wears down, that piece of metal right there in the center of the screen is going to rub against the rotor and give you a warning that the pad material is worn down. So I'm going to put that on the inside, and I'll show you when I get it in. One more thing to show you, I put some anti-squealing paste. It comes in that little orange tube, and that's supposed to prevent vibration between the backing plate of the pad and where the pistons contact it. And you can also put it on the other side, the other pad on the other side. It goes in different places though. Those little circles are where the two pistons contact, and then on the other side you see that pattern there, that's where you would put 4 stripes of the anti-squeal. Put some blue Loctite on these bolts here also. Sorry. There. Yeah, blue Loctite on these. These go to 23 foot-pounds. Okay, we're about done. The first time you put the pedal down, remember, those pistons are pushed way back. They're going to have to move forward, so your pedal will probably go to the floor the first time you put it down. So pump your pedal up before you go driving off with the car. The other thing is to check your fluid level. I'm not going to do a bleed, but I will show you a bleed one of these days. Probably within the next month or so I should do a brake bleed on this car and set the fluid back, because remember, you took some out and you moved the pistons around, you got new pads in, so this fluid level is not going to be right until you check it. What else? Well, if you want to, now would be a good time to clean the caliper, get it looking nice and red again. That's about it. Straighten out the steering wheel and put a wheel back on there, and rinse and repeat and do the other side. I'm not going to film the other side for you. It's pretty much the same as this side. I hope this helps you out. This is front brakes and rotors on a C5 Corvette, and if my videos are helping you, subscribe, for crying out loud. It's free. And if you want more from Froggy, click on the thumbs up button or the like button and you'll get more. I hope this helps you guys and gals out. See you later. Be safe. Froggy out. Bye-bye.